so then he finally left, and she's like, I'm alone now, finally. Hello, my dudes. Cheers. Oh my god, that was so unsatisfying. Okay, whatever. Me and my decaf coffee, which barely fills the cup because my body just cannot tolerate real coffee anymore. I still have it from time to time. But anyways, welcome to this reading vlog. We are reading Orlando by Virginia Woolf, which has been on my TBR for a few years now. I happened to pick this up at a bookstore about 2 months ago, and I wasn't sure when I was going to read it, but I saw that Emma was reading this as one of the books for the July and August Game of Tombs book club. So I was like, why not? But today I will be doing some work. First I have to do a quiz for school, and then I have an exam next week, so I have to finish that up. Then I'll be doing some work ahead for next week, which I always do, and I hope I can finish that early today so I can relax a bit, because I am going out tomorrow to an orthodontist appointment. But let's talk about Orlando. I am already 70 pages in. I started a few days ago, and this one comes with an introduction that was already amazing. It provided so much insight, and it also has these images. Orlando as a boy, the Russian princess as a child. It's just one of the characters in the book. But I love this. More images. Okay, so what is this book about? Orlando is about this man named Orlando who is kind of immortal, and we follow him throughout many centuries. And at one point he becomes a woman, and I don't really know what happens. All I know is that it's about a man becoming a woman and Virginia Woolf challenging gender stereotypes. That's really all I knew, but I have been posting this on my Instagram stories, and quite a few people have been telling me that they really love this book. So I am excited. Let me read to you some quotes from the intro. Also, Orlando is written as a biography, which I thought was interesting. I did not know that at all. In the intro, which is written by Helen Dunmore, Dunmore writes that throughout Orlando, Woolf poses questions about what gender is and asks whether an individual can escape the gender of birth. And Orlando had a friendship with Elizabeth I, which she writes that the queen learned very early in life the dangers of being a woman among men jockeying for power, and instead she made herself into an icon for veneration. Virginia Woolf turns on its head the convention about how men are seen by women. In Orlando, Woolf asks whether or not gender is something fixed and whether or not it must be accepted as such. Her answer seems to be that gender is infinitely more fluid than class or culture. And I have already been underlining so many quotes from it, especially quotes about Orlando's love of literature, which I did not know, like, his character would be that way, which I am just loving. Orlando naturally loved solitary places, vast views, and to feel himself forever and ever alone. You know what? I will get to work now. Hello. It is now 4 p.m. My glasses are dirty. These are blue light glasses, by the way. I just like to protect my eyes from blue light to the point where now I feel so naked when I'm looking at a screen and not wearing my blue light glasses. Anyways, I feel a little bit burnt out and just really tired. I finished the work I had to do today, which feels nice. I will have to go back and edit and proofread on Monday, but I'm done for now. I just had a little snack, but now I will do a tiny bit of French. Honestly, I have not been studying that language seriously at all since I started uni, basically, which is not great. But I have been watching the French version of Barbie Life in the Dream House lately, which has been really fun. Let's talk about Orlando. It begins with Orlando as a boy, kind of, and Orlando being friends with Queen Elizabeth. And then time moves on. There's these really descriptive passages of time passing, and it's written in a very, like, classic way, if you know what I mean. If you read classics, you'll kind of know what I mean. And then it talks about Orlando's love of literature, which it's described as an illness, a disease, which I was surprised. I didn't know. I mean, I only knew that people looked down on women who liked to read. They thought it was not right. But I didn't know they thought that of men, especially viewing writing as an illness as well. Both for noblemen, which Orlando is. He was born a gentleman, but apparently that's like such a waste to be a writer as a nobleman. Orlando's always loved writing. He had written so many plays and stories by the time he was 24, I think. And one day he invites a writer, Nick Green, to his house to dine and possibly like give this writer that he admires a manuscript of his, and they have a nice dinner. You know, Nick Green is friends with Shakespeare and Kit Marlowe and a bunch of other writers of that time, which Orlando views as his heroes. And then at the end, he manages to give Nicholas Green his manuscript. But then, what does he do? What does Nicholas Green do? He writes a poem about his dinner with Orlando and makes fun of him for how weird and secluded from society he is. Oh yeah, because before this, Orlando chose to live in solitude for many years in his house, in nature, away from society, and he was always clumsy and awkward in polite society. So he made fun of him and even stole some lines from Orlando's manuscript. So Orlando was like, from now on, I'm never gonna write for Nicholas Green or the eyes of anyone anymore. It should just be for myself. So that's kind of where I ended, I think. What even is a proust? Oh my god, I'm so glad I caught that on camera. What even is a proust? I wish I didn't turn the camera away. Good morning. I know I look like a little boy right now, but it's really hot. What can I do? I think it's 2 days later since I last talked to you. Okay, I'm gonna catch you up on what I did. So on Sunday, I had an orthodontist appointment. It was one that I would not have needed to go to if not for a doctor messing up my permanent retainer. I've had my braces off for 6 years now, and one of them messed it up during my last appointment. I only go back once a year now for a checkup, but it had been bothering me all summer, so I had to go back and ask for them to fix it, and we were there for a long time. I did get what I wanted in the end, which was a clear active retainer, which is when a few, like one or a couple of your teeth shifted out of place, and it applies pressure on those teeth to kind of shift it back. Because I searched up what they would do to help you if something like this happened. Basically, a few of my teeth shifted out of place, and I had to explain to them for an hour back and forth that I want them to fix my teeth. So it was not fun. There was a manager there that tried so hard to not help me. It would have been funny if I was a spectator and I wasn't the one with a problem, but I'm not gonna get into it. I already ranted all of this to my partner when I got home that day. But in the end, she left, and the doctor that I made an appointment with, which I knew she would listen to me because she is really nice. Like, after the manager left, she's like, I can help you. Like, I can give you this clear retainer thing. So, but I'm sure this is not an uncommon thing at all. Like, if you've had any sort of negative experience with medical professionals who just don't want to help you because they just want money, and it's so clear with the things that they're saying that they want your money. Like, they might as well say, like, I don't want to help you, like, I just want your money. I can't tell you the amount of negative experiences with being gaslighted by medical professionals and just not taken seriously in general. Like, having so much fun out here. So yeah, that was a long day. And then yesterday I was going to do a sit down update, but I was just really busy with some work and studying, which I also did this morning. It's 3 p.m. now. If you hear me having a lisp, it's just because of my retainer. Earlier I was updating my resume because I have been wanting to do that for a while, and also do like a nicer looking one. So I did that, and it always feels good when I update my resume. Now let's talk about the book. Look, I'm already more than halfway through now, and I think I'll just read you the quotes that I like tomorrow because I'll have more free time tomorrow. Let's see, where we left off was the writer that Orlando looks up to, Nicholas Green, going away and writing this poem making fun of him. And the people in his town kind of see him as this loner, this outsider, because he just loves spending time alone and, you know, being in the woods, in nature, and reading and writing. At one point, he decides to end his years of solitude and start inviting people into his home and have guests over. And over time, people start to accept him more, and he became more of a valuable member of society. He became a duke or ambassador, or duke and then ambassador, whichever one is higher. And then one night, he just turns into a woman, which I found so chaotic. Like, the whole transformation scene, it wasn't entirely unexpected just because of the writing during that time. Like, I see it a lot in Oscar Wilde's The Picture of Dorian Gray as well, where things like love and friendship concepts are capitalized and they can be this entity. So it's sort of like that. I'm not going to go into detail on how it happened because I feel like it's a fun surprise to read. A lot of people on Instagram told me as well, like, this book is really weird, but they loved it. So, yeah, she discovers that she's a woman with no, like, negative reaction to it, which the introduction kind of talks about as well. Like, she just accepts it, and it's like, okay, I'm a woman now. There was also this woman that she kind of was falling in love with, but she was like, no, this is not love. This is just lust. And that description was also chaotic. So she goes away to, where does she go to? I think she goes to Turkey. For some reason, I can't remember where she goes. But she goes away to spend some time with this tribe. I'm not sure if the word is a slur, but I think it is. So I'm not going to say it, but she spends time with the people in that country. And she comes back and she starts to really realize, like, how disadvantaged women are, and the way she needs to act from now on, which was interesting to see her navigate. And then the Archduchess that she was kind of falling in love with before comes back, and it turns out that the Archduchess is a man, and now Orlando's a woman. So that was crazy, and she's like, look, I don't like this man who keeps coming to my house every day to, try to ask for my hand in marriage. So she makes up this gambling game to play with him and to deliberately cheat so that he would, not like her anymore. And he doesn't even notice at first. He only notices a while later, after he's already lost a fortune to her, which doesn't mean anything to him because he's an archduke. But yeah, then one time she really cheats so, obviously, to finally get him to notice, and he gets mad. But then he is like, oh my gosh, I have to read it to you. He is like, she was, after all, only a woman, he said. In short, he was preparing in the chivalry of his heart to forgive her just because she is a woman. But then what does Orlando do? She slips a small toad into his shirt, which is disgusting. I have an frog phobia. Like, that could not have been more gross to me, but oh my god, imagine doing that just because you don't like this man who is pursuing you. Slay. So then he finally left, and she's like, I'm alone now, finally. Now I guess there's more of her navigating her life as a woman, and I wonder what is going to happen. It is now 2 p.m. the next day. I am now here, so I have about 70 pages left. If I read for the rest of the afternoon, I can finish it today, and I just might do that. I do have some more blog work to do, but I don't have to do it today. And I kind of just want to relax today, so I think I'll just read. Hello. Excuse the way I look right now. I feel very not cute because it is so hot and I have just been cleaning. I'm just putting sunscreen on the back of my hands. This is just the Skin Aqua UV Super Moisture Gel. We got this when we were in Taiwan, and I've just been finishing it up. I haven't been using this on my face though, because I'm not a big fan of like alcohol-y sunscreens. I've been using the Pipette Baby. This is what I use on my face, if you're wondering. I like it a lot. Not so much for the summer though. It dries really dewy and gives you like a dewy, glowy look, which I love for the winter. But for the summer, I am not that big of a fan of it. It's now almost 12 p.m. I'm doing my exam after lunch. It comes out at 1:05 p.m. It always does. If you've watched my other vlogs more related to my tuition-free online school, you will know this. I'm really sick of my lisp. So yeah, I will just have lunch soon. I saw that Emma uploaded a new vlog and she's also doing a final exam, so I want to watch a bit of that before I go have lunch. And then I'll just do my exam when I'm ready. Just finished my exam. The results will be out in a week, but I'm done! Yay! Stab-alicious! Stab! You made it to the last of this vlog. Congrats. I don't know how long this vlog is gonna be. I already started editing it, but I've just had a lot to say. My exam went well, and yesterday I was just working on next week's article for work to get that out of the way, and I finished it this morning. Today has been pretty boring, but anyways, I finished Orlando yesterday, so let's talk about it. I enjoyed it a lot, and to be honest, I was a little lost with the ending. Like, I didn't know really what was going on. So, I had a lot of questions, but I just read some literary essays and articles on it. So, yeah. But what happened after that? We find Orlando now in the Victorian era. There's a lot of separation and confinement between men and women, and she kind of starts to think about, like, oh my god, look at this hand. Something's missing on this finger, so I better get married real quick, or else I just can't do anything, basically. And so she is walking in the moors, and then she falls face down, and she just stays there until this man comes and it's like, "Ma'am, are you okay?" It literally says they talk for a few minutes, and then they are engaged, and then they get married. What does Virginia Woolf write for this man? She writes that this husband, as soon as they're married, he just sails off to do whatever he has to do, which is so Virginia Woolf. Then a lot of time passes. Now we are at the 20th century to present day when this book was published, which was 1928. And beside her navigating her life as a woman now, it also explores the defiance of time and how she now has many selves. So Orlando, this book was dedicated to Vida Sackville West, who is Virginia Woolf's gal pal, if you know what I mean. Yeah, so it's kind of a biography about her, but also about Virginia herself. Orlando's life traces the history of Vida Sackville West's family up to the present day, when Vida was unable to inherit family estate because she was a woman. I just love how daring this is as a classic. Like, in one of the articles I read, it said that if this book were published now, it definitely would not be labeled as a biography, because it really isn't, because Orlando is not a real person. It would be like fantasy or sci-fi, it says, because, you know, she lives for so long. It's a chaotic book. The story of Woolf's gender-fluid and superhuman heroine is about much more than a single individual. As a work of political satire and feminist fantasy, Orlando laid the groundwork for today's cultural landscape, in which the boundaries of both gender and literary genre are more porous than ever. It definitely stands out, like, against other classics of the time. Woolf was definitely very ahead of her time, and she's amazing. I think I have to think more about this book to be able to say a lot more about it, because I just finished it last night. Yeah, I need to let those thoughts run around in my head. But I will be posting a review on Instagram. But if you made it here, all the way here to this long ass vlog, I want you to comment 3 coffee emojis, because that's how I started out this vlog, to let me know that you're still watching. And thank you, and I will see you next time.